Hey everyone, this is Chi from Chargeblast, and it's another episode of Get to Know the CEO. We have Nick from Platform Pay here to tell us a little bit about how to add recurring revenue to your e-commerce business. So glad to have you, Nick.
Thanks for having me. This will be fun today.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. It's always good conversing with you. So, maybe just to start off, would love to learn a little bit about yourself. So, could you walk us through your career path? What led you to being executive vice president at Platform Pay?
So, I got my start very early on when it comes to performance-based marketing, affiliate marketing, going back as far as eBay in the late 90s. So, got situated on PayPal before getting up and running with a bank account. So, I've done many, many things over the years, but really started with affiliate marketing. And this was for a popular vertical at the time. It was actually adult. This is before it became more or less free or freemium, but I was using email to promote adult offers in the late 90s, early 2000s. And once you learn how to do that, you're in a position to say, hey, this might be applicable to other industries. I just thought it applied to adult, like that was the only thing for affiliate marketing, but started to learn it applied to other verticals such as lead gen, and then figured out mortgages. So worked at a mortgage shop. I was generating my own leads. I was doing, this is before pay per call. So I was doing hot transfers. This is all performance marketing, and this is in like '04, '05 now. So I kept finding ways to incorporate the affiliate model with traditional business, and then went on to go found an agency. Realized that I can work with more brands, support more verticals, and ultimately created a brand and reputation management agency for direct response offer owners. Launched that in 2011 and recently wound that down as Platform Pay was founded.
That's great. I mean, what's really interesting, I've actually heard the adult space is a really great space to test different aspects of payments and marketing in general because it's a lot of volume, right? So what I've heard is a lot of the payments ecosystem that we rely on today, including paywalls and things like that, were actually developed through the adult industry and then applied across other industries. It was pretty fascinating what you can take away from other industries. But tell us a little bit about Platform Pay. Our listeners aren't may not be familiar. How would you explain Platform Pay in incredibly simple terms?
So, Platform Pay is a revenue service for advertisers. We allow advertisers to realize and experience subscription income. We process that subscription revenue on our mids and provide a membership portal to our advertiser clients' customers. So, that's the deliverable to the customer. It's a deals portal. We offer deals and discounts based on the vertical which the offer is. So for every client, we create a custom membership portal based on the vertical for the offer. So let's say an eyelash offer for women will have a totally different membership portal versus, say, a Nutra male enhancement offer. Two totally different demographics. So we process the payment for the membership portal, optimize for approvals. We have a wonderful merchant dashboard where you can see all of the metrics in real time, as the case is for a lot of our clients, where they can see live traffic coming in. And we bill those customers 45 days after the initial transaction. So it's framed as a benefit to the customer. The 45-day window allows that customer to potentially cancel if they wish, and puts us in a position where we can work with our advertiser client and potentially just cancel those subscriptions if we learn that they have charged back or refunded their core offering. Because if you have an unhappy customer on the front end of an offer, it doesn't make much sense to try and continue on an LTV journey if you have someone who's potentially going to be problematic.
Got it. Okay. So just so I understand, you have, let's just call it an e-commerce merchant, right? And that e-commerce merchant, like you gave in the example, sold Lash products. They could then attach Platform Pay, which enables the e-commerce platform to monetize on their traffic in addition to their actual lash offer. So upon checkout, the customers of the e-commerce merchant are presented with different offers, relevant offers. Is that correct? And then you guys, instead of the e-commerce merchant actually processing those post-checkout offers, you guys process it.
Exactly. So we shoulder the risk in that sense where it's a different product. And this is where e-commerce advertisers can sometimes run into challenges where they're doing everything in their power to boost earnings. But the low ticket subscription can sometimes become the kiss of death for the business. So let's say their average order value is around 100, and now they're trying to do something like us on the back end. Now, some advertisers make it work, some do not, where they actually end up losing chunks of their processing, if not all of their processing, if they don't have enough mids, or they're running on, say, a more fragile solution like Stripe or something like that, where what we offer is basically hedging their risk, where yes, we do have a 50-50 split, but we process the payment. We handle everything in the background so that their front end processing is protected. They can just focus on acquisitions. And now they're not running at multiple different price points, where oftentimes it's the low ticket subscription that puts a customer over the edge, where it can actually jeopardize or flip the front end sale if they don't know what it is, or it's not in congruence with the actual offer or offer vertical it is. That's why we customize the portal experience to suit what we believe the affinity would be for the front end offers customer. That's why we customize. We don't blindly herd everyone to just one membership portal that's a catch-all for everyone. And we do this internationally too. So if we are working with someone in a different language in, say, like a European country, they receive an English membership portal, that would be like an instant cancellation. So like there are nuances with this based on the traffic and the geos of the customers that we're supporting.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And for the founders out there of drop shipping and e-commerce companies, I just really want to highlight the amount of risk that you're offloading to platform pay is really critical, because when you first start a e-commerce drop shipping company, you're really just focused on growth, advertising, getting revenue, etc. But then after the fact is customer experience and comes chargebacks. And a great way of increasing LTV, like Nick said, is by having these recurring offers attached to your direct offer. But these recurring offers oftentimes get charged back much more frequently. Subscription products just get charged back so frequently that sometimes your chargeback rate goes through the roof and then you lose your Shopify account or your whatever processing account that you're using. It's a really genius model to offer these e-commerce drop shipping merchants recurring revenue with effectively no risk.
Exactly. So what's interesting, Chi, is that years ago, the model used to be free trial or free plus shipping, especially with Nutra. That was a very popular vertical, even like skin, where it was a low ticket amount for the trial. And then it was like $89.95 on day 14. And then usually the customer would not even realize that what they've enrolled into. So what we found a more stable model is straight sale on the front end, where a person knows exactly what they're buying, why they're buying it. I think it's just framing the offer a little differently. So we're seeing like a Nutra offer with AOVs of close to 200 now. I guess we have to factor inflation. Everything costs more these days, but we're noticing front end offers with AOVs of plus 200. And now the question is, what do we do to continue the monetization path for this client, right? Or this customer rather. So it's almost the inverse, where we're front loading, where the advertiser is front loading the sale. Now they may do less volume in terms of customers per day at these price points, but they're doing largely the same in revenue. And where we can step in is creating a more customized back end for them, where this is what we specialize in. So if you're an advertiser, product focused, you're probably media buying focused as well, where you are really optimizing for clicks, conversions, and happy customers. It's very hard to play all positions on the field unless you have a large team and can really dedicate resources to perfecting the back end. And that's where I've noticed there was a gap in the market where either you attempt this yourself and kind of limp in and be experimental. And that's where a lot of people have really lost their shirt in the process, lost entire businesses where they're trying to pick up some incremental revenue, but they don't realize how important the actual subscription product is or the ratios they need to be mindful of in the event that there is chargebacks or refunds or low approvals on or too many attempts or too just being way too experimental, and that causes catastrophe. Where we step in is shouldering the risk, doing it in the most responsible way possible for both our client and customer. And that's where we build in the 45-day buffer where the customer can experience the membership portal. If they don't like it, welcome to cancel before we even attempt the billing. In our world, it's not worth the refund. It's not worth the chargeback. Gee, I know you're in the chargeback business, but we're still doing our best to be mindful of the customer because it's just not worth it. We're just going to create unnecessary fees and ultimately run a less profitable campaign internally and for our clients. So, and that's every time I've spoke to someone that's attempting to do this on their own, a couple of elements are consistent. One, they're just blindly picking price points like out of thin air. They're usually too high to justify the membership portal or the VIP experience or whatever the product is framed as. Sometimes I've heard no back end, like it's just they're nothing. That is a common theme too. I'm like, well, tell me about your product. They're like, well, what product? I'm like, all right, well, I mean, we don't have to be, really smart to figure out where the disconnect lies. There is no product, okay? And then it's the timing of that charge. If it's too close to the initial, 2 days after, 7 days after, now it's the assumption that this is going to be a weekly billing. You need some breathing room. So what I've noticed is when folks do it themselves and they're not successful, price points are too high, the product is completely in question, and or the timing of the billing causes concern for the customer. And oftentimes it's a combination of all three simultaneous, where the question is, what did you expect would happen?
Right, right. I mean, that's the thing though. A lot of founders, especially those with less experience in the payment space, they don't understand exactly what you mean by catastrophe, right? So I'll emphasize what Nick said. If you go into payments and you don't have the right tech stack to protect yourself from chargebacks and other risks, or offsetting the risk by moving the transactions from your own merchant accounts onto platform pay, the risk could be incredibly detrimental. Like if you get put on the match list for excessive chargebacks. And nowadays, I've seen more and more merchants get put on the match list because MasterCard will actually fine acquirers who don't put merchants on the match list. And what the match list is basically a list of individuals, not even LLCs, it's individuals, your social security number, right? You're on this list and all payment processors look at this list. So it's going to be near to impossible to get another processor for, I think it's 7 or 8 years until you're off the match list. So that's what catastrophe means in payments. You can't do business. Or the obstacle to doing business is now 10 times higher. And what's more interesting is nowadays people are running their companies quite lean with AI, with outsourced talent. You have founders that are doing millions and it's maybe one or two individuals, and you don't have the time to put into payments expertise. So you outsource it to folks like Nick and to us at Chargeblast. Save the headache of dealing with payments and just focus on growing revenue and LTV.
Yeah. What's interesting, Chi, is that once you lose the processing, let's just say you were successful for a period of time and you actually have subscriptions. Once you lose the processing, you're toast. You're not even acquiring new customers, but you may be doing, it could be a 6 figure a month MRR business on the backside, and it goes to zero really quickly. So, and I know we touched on Nutra, but there's been a lot of advancements in the industry, which is really cool. I remember the days where I was a Nutra advertiser, and once upon a time, you actually had to buy the product, warehouse the product, and there were expiration dates on the product. So going back to real catastrophe, could you imagine sitting on 15,000 units with expiration dates and now you lost your processing and it's going to take months to get or to piece together, 25,000, $50,000 a month mids to make it all happen. And you're starting from scratch and now you have compromised processing history. Like now you're trying to send applications out there and they're asking questions. What happened? And now everyone's on higher alert. You're going to get higher rates. And back to credit score, it's akin if you're let's just say you're a real estate investor trying to obtain financing on properties. There's always going to be outlets and solutions, but you're going to pay for it. You're going to have to pay higher points. You're going to have to go real hard money or private money. And the same is true for processing, where you may not get the most competitive rates. It's available. You'll eventually figure it out. What I do know about everyone in this industry, people are incredibly resilient. Everyone comes back. At some point, everyone always figures it out, but you never want to, get those emails, account closed, terminated. It's a sinking feeling of what's next, especially if this is like the one and only thing that you're doing to earn a living.
Yeah, it's an incredible headache and it's incredibly detrimental, so it's most definitely not worthwhile taking on the risk yourself. So, who are some good customer profiles for Platform Pay and kind of what infrastructure do they need to get started with Platform Pay? I know you talked a little bit about Nutra, but maybe tell me a little bit about other good clients for Platform Pay and again, how they could set up with you guys.
For sure. So any CC submit offer is good for us. We can't do anything with PayPal, Klarna, and some other countries. So it needs to be just be credit card, debit card. As far as like offer verticals, yeah, Nutra, that's a very popular one. Anything gizmos, gadgets. We've had success with sweeps, but we're mindful of other verticals right now because sweeps has had its own challenges as far as just the ability for sweeps advertisers to stay in the game with reliable processing. I've noticed that it is in question at the moment, but like I mentioned before about resiliency, I don't see verticals just dying completely. There may be some hiccups along the way. Antivirus is good. Yeah, anything that is on, say, a Shopify store, or if you're using like a standalone CRM, like a connective, sticky, or using a layer between, let's say you have Checkout Champ on the backside of a Shopify store, we can integrate easily. And for some who are purely on Shopify, if you're on I believe it's Shopify Plus, the highest tier. That'll give you full control of your checkout experience. And then we can integrate direct with those types of stores as long as you have full control of your checkout experience.
Got it. And is there a size of merchant where it makes sense to start talking to Platform Pay, or can anyone really get started?
I welcome everybody, and here's why. Where people start is not always where they finish. And I've seen advertisers go from 10, 20 sales a day, and next thing you know, they hit 100. Now that's the standard. And then what I like to do is help in all ways possible. So I'm always checking in with our clients, and if there's a fit, to introduce them to a network that we're friendly with or we know has good traffic, because ultimately we're going to be processing the upsell component. So if it's a network that's sending bad traffic or a media buyer that's sending bad traffic, I would not steer our client in that direction, because ultimately we're going to be the recipient potentially of a customer on the subscription side. So whatever we can do to help them grow their front end, it benefits us. It's aligned with that customer relationship. And yeah, whatever we can do to help and even steer them in your direction as far as chargebacks too. I mean, people are well aware of Chargeblast right now. You guys are growing, and every dollar counts for folks' businesses. And especially at scale and volume, things can kind of go off the rails quickly. And I've noticed that a lot of really significant e-commerce businesses are running on thinner margins than people think. So lots of vanity metrics, multiple seven figures, sometimes over 10 million in sales, but razor thin margins when it comes to traffic costs, what they're paying for chargebacks, and just all elements of the business. And, you can't really build something sustainable off like Amex reward points. So where we step in and deliver more revenue to the client. In some instances with platform pay clients, we are the profit beyond sometimes getting reserve releases from processors. So we're tightening and enhancing the cash conversion cycle so that they can plow it back more into paid media or actually touch the money and profit.
And I like what you said earlier, where you said anything we can do to help the clients, right? That's the same mindset that Chargeblast has, is even though the client may not be looking for chargeback solutions at that time, they may be looking for some other payments solution. We're always happy to be a thought partner and provide any connections necessary to help out that client, potential client, right? And I think that's why we work so well. I've seen your response times on Telegram. It's incredibly fast. So you're getting the best experience with Nick. So that's always fantastic. But what would you say we should be excited for when it comes to the future of Platform Pay? Like, are there any new features or functionalities that are getting launched soon? Like, tell us a little bit more.
I'm very excited about AI or anything that can speed a process up, something on a global scale where we can deliver it cheaper, faster, and better than we could years prior. So for customer service, like we're kind of there right now with AI call centers and being able to do this in multiple languages and arguably deliver the same, if not a better experience to get the customer exactly what they want. Whereas, like, let's rewind to years prior where the only way we could facilitate that was a human picking up the phone, and it was unpredictable what call volumes or spikes would be. And ultimately, you put someone in a queue where they have to wait 30 minutes to talk to someone, and now they're heated. Now they want to refund everything. They're going to charge everything back. So if we can alleviate issues especially on the customer service side using AI, I think we're really stepping into a better landscape for both the customer and merchant. And as far as like our ability to deliver like a better membership portal, there's going to be elements of AI that we can integrate, I believe, maybe on the content side, just to deliver more value for a membership portal customer paying $14.95 a month. Like, I think the key with any deliverable, anything that you're selling, in order to justify the sale, in order to keep the sale in perpetuity, you must deliver more in value than the customer is actually paying for. If we can keep iterating on that, I think we'll be in a better position, being that this is what we specialize in. And again, to bring it all back, why you would want a third party handling this. This is the one and only thing that we do, whereas we know our advertiser clients, their primary focus is on acquisitions, product, and making sure that they have the infrastructure to not only stay in business, but support that, whether it's affiliate payouts, whether it's bringing on new product SKUs or trying new traffic sources. Our goal is to keep them healthy, strong on the front end. So like this saying, focus on your best, outsource the rest. This whole back end MRR stuff, everyone wants it, but you really need to specialize in it to do it at scale, but to do it profitably as well and not risk an entire business.
Right. Yeah, MR is definitely a double-edged sword, and you don't want to be caught on the wrong side of the sword. Well, maybe before we wrap up, Nick, tell us a little bit about what you like to do for fun, what your hobbies are, like where would we find you on a weekend?
Just follow my Instagram. I'm generous with my stories. It's nothing super exciting, but As you'll get to know me, I enjoy wake surfing. I typically go on Wednesdays. It's starting to get a little cooler here in South Carolina as we approach the fall, so I need to get a wetsuit in order to keep doing that. So that's one of my hobbies, wake surfing. I love snowboarding when I can get to a mountain, and hanging out with my family. I travel a lot for conferences, so I always like to share travel experiences. And it's funny, a lot of people that know me or have known me at like growing up, they think that I'm on a permanent vacation, but that's hardly the case. When it comes to traveling and conferences, it's often pretty intense, pretty hardcore as far as the demands. But I'm very fortunate that I'm able to see the world and experience culture in different areas and mix business with that experience as well.
Yeah, I mean, I can attest. I look at your Instagram stories, and it's a good reminder for me to get out into the real world and not just stay in front of my computer. I love watching your stories. So, with that said, though, where can we find you? Like, what's the best way to connect with you if we're interested in platform pay?
You can go right to our platformpay.io. So if you go to our site, you can book a demo with me. I'd be happy to show you what we do, how we do it. You can even project earnings based on your current traffic. We can talk more about your offer. So that's always available. And yeah, you can just Google me. You can find my socials and Telegram, of course. That's where I'm always at. So it's at Nikki Papers on Telegram. And she is right. My response time it's remarkably high. So anyone who wants to test me, bring it on.
Or your response times are remarkably low, more like it, yes, but very fast, incredibly fast. All right, well, fantastic. Thanks for joining us, Nick. We appreciate the insights, and hopefully we'll have you on again some other day.
Awesome. Thank you so much.